Phil, you know where Kurdistan is and you know where Syria is. Do we know where Baghdad is this morning? I mean, what is the state of affairs within the nation's capital?
It's in a bad place. Look, U.S. officials really are just starting to wake up. A lot of them didn't sleep much last night. And the issue right now, Tom, is they're involved in such a roller coaster. Yesterday was a very positive day up north. The Kurdish forces, the Peshmerga, made gains. They're pushing back. I think the U.S. feels very vindicated, if there's any question at all, that their airstrikes have been extraordinarily helpful to Kurdish forces. And then the political resolution, which frankly is the most important thing. The president has said it over and over again. U.S. officials have said it over and over again. Took a major step back. There will be no long-term solution if there is not some type of resolution in Baghdad. And what's going on with Nouri al-Maliki right now is extraordinarily concerning to U.S. officials.
Do we in any way support Mr. Maliki?
No. And this is the interesting thing, actually, Tom, over the last 12 hours that I've seen. U.S. officials have always been very careful with their language. I remember we were speaking probably 2 months ago, and we talked behind the scenes. It was being made very clear to us that they would like a new prime minister. Over the last probably 4 or 5 days, even the president, in his remarks announcing the potential airstrikes last week, noted that they want a, quote, new prime minister. Last night, shortly, probably 15 minutes after Nouri al-Maliki gave his short statement on state TV last night, Brett McGurk, the top State Department official in Iraq, quickly went on to Twitter and said, plain and simple, guys, the U.S. supports Fouad Massoun, the president. They have no support for Nouri al-Maliki in this case. They're just going all out now. It's not a secret.
Phil, let me make sure I understand this correctly. In addition to everything that's going on up north, we actually don't know who's in charge of Iraq right now.
It's difficult, right? So I think. Yeah, frankly, Brendan, I think that's actually true.
I just wanted to make this a terrifying point on it.
Right. I'm trying to figure out some way to make this sound logical, and there just isn't. I think Nouri al-Maliki has lost the vast majority of support, and all you need to look at, Grand Ayatollah Sistani, the top Shia leader, the main individual that the Shias in Iraq listen to, has criticized heavily politicians who, quote, cling to power. That's a direct shot at Nouri al-Maliki. However, Nouri al-Maliki has strong control over special forces in the country, over what you've seen move into the green zone right now, and as long as that exists, it's a very dangerous game that's being played right now.
In this conversation, Olivia, I think the most interesting thing is the overlay of the religion and the different sects of Islam with where the United States is right now. I mean, we're beholden to centuries of history here.
Of course, now what we're talking about, it seems like only foreigners want to be redrawing the lines that the Ottomans and the British first put down. It really is incredible that we're talking about redrawing the lines in Iraq. But Phil, a question for you. If President Obama says there's no American military solution, then what is the solution? What's next? Over the weekend, we heard Senators McCain and Senator Graham going on the airwaves saying that airstrikes in Syria should be the next part of the equation. Is mission creep inevitable here? Is Syria next?
I think the president's statements about having no timeline here has certainly spooked Democrats. So I think when we spoke on Friday, I said the president hasn't gotten any major blowback from his party. That changed this weekend with those statements that there is no firm deadline. I will say, Olivia, every American official I've talked to who's involved in this or knows what's going on says airstrikes in Syria are simply not on the table. This is Iraq-specific. But I do think that you're going to continue to hear pressure from Republicans to do more, and you're starting to see Democrats move away from the president on this until he puts kind of a firmer guideline in place on how long this will last and how many strikes there will be. You're going to lose top people like the Assistant Majority Leader Dick Durbin said this weekend.
Phil, there's also a whiff of an American power struggle going on, too. Hillary told The Atlantic that she would have done things completely different in Syria. So there's also a new reality within the Beltway as well this morning.
Yeah, Brendan, I think the interesting thing is we have all been kind of expecting Hillary Clinton to start breaking away from the administration at some point. Frankly, she has to if you just look at the numbers that President Obama is bringing to the table right now. On foreign policy, it was no secret that she was more of a hawk on Syria than the president was. I think that was her point in the fantastic interview with Jeffrey Goldberg. But I do think that she was so sharp with her criticism, and she brought up his kind of the statement that the president keeps bringing to the table. Don't do stupid stuff as being one of the key forms of his foreign policy doctrine. And she not only repeated that and then criticized it, she took a big step away from him today. And I think that just doesn't help the scenario that we're dealing with right now for the president.
Phil Mattingly, thanks for making us smarter on a Monday morning. He is in Washington.